Hey, it's Reviews on the Runtime. We ran for cover under the warm lights of the studio because the weather in Vancouver is terrible right now, but I have been hunkered down playing Cuphead from Studio MDHR. This is a Canadian team that has been working on Cuphead for a very long time. It's exclusive to the Xbox One platform. I think you might be able to get it on PC as well. I've been playing it on the Xbox One S, and it has been a feast for my eyes. This is one of the most beautiful games of 2017. Of course, the aesthetic here is that it's a 1930s cartoon. Even the copyright symbol that pops up on frame is it says copyright 1930 or something like that. Absolutely gorgeous game for anybody that grew up playing Super Nintendo or Genesis games, which I did. I loved those games back in the day. We dreamt of games that looked like cartoons. We dreamt of things where you could totally blur the line for what you were observing, and that's what Cuphead does. There's some tremendous imagination that goes on inside of this game. You are bouncing quite a bit between run and gun type scenarios, which play a little bit like some of the sequences in a Contra game with enemies all over the place, bullet hell, but in a cartoon kind of vibe. You are constantly engaged by obstacles and obstructions and pellets and bullets and things, and you're frustrated and you're angry, but it sort of bounces from sequences that are like that, the run and gun sequences, into these boss battles, which are also equally frustrating, and they usually kind of chunk them up into 3 or 4 different variations. Like you might be fighting a clown that's inside of a giant roller coaster for a minute, then it might transform into a big balloon kind of creature and you're blasting at its head, and you are constantly frustrated. You are constantly going to be swearing at this game because the difficulty is ramped so very high. Now, you can play a simple mode or you can play a regular mode. You also get a bunch of power-ups and charms and things like that that you can attach to Cuphead to make the game slightly easier. You can also play cooperatively, which actually makes the game more difficult because there's actually more chaos on screen and it's tougher to see what to avoid, and your buddy gets in the way. You also have this mechanic that's incredible, two mechanics that are incredibly important, and you sometimes forget about it in your haste to just jump and shoot. But you have this parry mechanic which allows you to bounce off of pink things, and sometimes you need to do that in order to get coins, which you can then spend in the shop on power-ups and things like that, but also to avoid a lot of death. And you've also got this dash ability, which is incredibly important because you've got these large cartoon enemies that will slide underneath you, and you need that dash to get over them. And it's very, very handy. What this game kind of feels like the entire way, it's almost like a bullet hell shooter, but then you actually do get a bullet hell shooter. You get a little sort of plane sequence in there as well, where you're dodging all kinds of bullets and bad guys, and it's absolutely incredible. And it's interesting that this little sort of indie game, this dream that's been around, the video game industry for a while. We've covered it on Electric Playground a bunch of times. It's interesting how this game grew in our estimation and our fascination. We wanted this thing, but it also became incredibly important for Microsoft and Xbox because they don't have a whole ton of exclusives, especially as they're launching the Xbox One X. But this really stands on its own. It's not a massive game. It's not a super big AAA thing. It's not Super Mario Odyssey or Zelda or anything like that. But it is important. It's an incredibly important title. And yes, I do think this is worth checking out on the Xbox One. You may not, if you don't have the machine yet, you may not want to buy the machine just for this game, but holy crap, is this an important exclusive. It's something I encourage everybody to play. It's going to kick your ass, but I dare you not to be impressed. I was blown away, especially somebody that's been playing video games for as long as I have. This game works on so many incredible levels, and much love and respect and applause to the team that built us Cuphead. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.